What's up, Headless Horde? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down Rings of Power, episode 5, and this was a good one. Let's break this thing down. But first, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and don't forget, check out channel memberships. Next month is October, and I'll be giving away a brand new Headless Ned Stark hat. This is an upgraded style from my previous, and it also comes with a flex fit. You can't beat it. All right, guys, let's get into this thing. So we start off this episode in Khazad-dûm. We see King Durin. He receives one of the rings, and it's kind of like one of the shots from the promos we saw, where he's holding this big, beautiful blue ring. This ring, as soon as he starts wearing it, it starts influencing all of his decisions. It makes him more confident. It also makes him more of a risk taker as well. And one of the big things I also noticed was he definitely turns into I don't want to say a meaner person, because he was never really super nice. And one thing it does remind me of is Frodo from the original trilogy, because Frodo definitely gets mad, and a couple times he yells at Sam and all that kind of stuff. So it's very similar in what the ring does when it influences the person wearing it. So one of his risky choices were to order the miners to dig into dangerous parts of the mountain. His son Durin actually says, that's not a great idea, because that is a foundation wall. And he basically says, give me the axe, and he does it himself. And what they're trying to do is find sunlight. And boom, there it is. After, some time passes, obviously, you see the sun shine through. And Durin is like, wow, okay, so maybe he knows what he's talking about. But again, even after he's done, he mentions to Durin, says, next time I tell you to do something, you better do it. So that kind of goes on throughout the opening of this episode, where we see a bunch of different dwarves. They're all, mining, and they're finding the sunlight coming in. Now, although that finding the sunlight does help solve some of Khazad-dûm's issues for now, Prince Durin's wife, Princess Disa, is so worried about this ring controlling the king's decision. And Disa feels like the mountain is warning her about a future danger. As we head over to Aragon, Celebrimbor is now celebrating the success of the dwarven rings he helped create. But Annatar, he tries to convince him to make magical rings for now humans, and he wants to create 9 of them. So far we have created 3 for the elves, 7 for the dwarves, and now he wants to create 9 for humans, or in the show, they like to say men. Now, although Annatar keeps telling Celebrimbor that these are going to help them in the long run, Celebrimbor is very worried that the humans can easily be corrupted by power. But Annatar keeps pushing the idea of creating these rings. And again, he's just using clever arguments to manipulate them. And he's been doing this ever since they first met. We then head on over to Numenor. Again, this is the Kingdom of Men, which is now being ruled by Pharazôn, who is now the leader, and he dreams of gaining immortality and just taking control and just ruling everything over there in Numenor. His son Keeman and Elendil's daughter Arianne are caught up in the middle of this power struggle. Arianne has started to support Pharazôn, which causes tension with her father. And remember, Elendil is still loyal to the Queen Miro. Elendil and Miro then share a moment of grief as they deal with the political chaos in Numenor. Miro believes that Elendil is still an important ally for her, even though Pharazôn's influence is growing even stronger. Again, through all of this, Elendil has remained loyal to her, but because of his daughter, who's now helping Pharazôn, is just causing a bunch of friction within his family. Back over in Khazad-dûm, Disa is out shopping for a gift for her daughter in like the dwarven streets in this like little city, and she finds a hidden cave beneath the city where a mysterious lake is like in the center. And it's something interesting because she sees something very strange to wake up in the water, and it adds to her worries about what is going on in the mines, with the king having everybody, mine and create a light and find the light. And so, I think we kind of know by watching the show, we have a feeling that this could be one of the Balrogs, but we don't know for sure, but that's kind of where I'm leaning. Prince Durin, he is trying to warn his father. So remember, his father at this point is being very influenced by these rings, and the king is refusing to listen to anything that his son has to tell him because Durin knows that something is going on with those rings, and he thinks that it is corrupting his father. But the king is so obsessed with digging deeper into the mountain to find more treasures, he is just ignoring all the warnings of danger. Back over in Aragon, one of Celebrimbor's blacksmiths, Mordania, tries on one of the new rings and becomes invincible. And again, straight back to the original trilogy when Frodo would do that as well in the show. This also shows that the rings might be dangerous and still have corrupting power, but Celebrimbor still doesn't want to admit that Annatar might be behind it. And I don't personally think that Celebrimbor really knows Annatar is behind any of this. Now, by the end of the episode, he may, but I still think that Celebrimbor is on board with what Annatar wants to do, except for the creation of these new 9 rings for the men. And as we see through the episode, Annatar continues to manipulate both Mordania and Celebrimbor as he pushes them toward what he wants to do without them really realizing it. Back in Numenor, Elendil confronts Keeman after he destroys an ancient shrine during a tense argument. This leads to a fight where Valandil, which is Elendil's ally, is actually killed by Keeman, and Elendil is arrested for starting this fight. This was a really, really cool scene, and I did not think that Valandil was going to die. Like, at one point, Keeman actually has him under the water, and he kind of kicks out of that. And so I didn't think this was going to happen. And I thought it was pretty sad. Although this Valandil we have not seen a ton of throughout the series, but we know that he's a friend of Isildur and he is an ally of Elendil. But it was pretty sad because he actually had an opportunity to take out Keeman himself and decided not to. And, then Keeman basically stabbed him in the back. We then head over to Lindon, where we haven't been in a couple episodes. We see High King Gil-galad. He's having visions of Sauron. And remember, Sauron is right now taking on the appearance of Annatar. And he is very worried that the Dark Lord is going to rise again. He's worried about the future, but is unsure if he can send his army to help against both Sauron and Adar. And this is a big issue because right now, Galadriel is actually captured by Adar. That's what we saw at the very end of episode 4. Elrond then warns him that the orcs are not in Mordor, but they are actually headed toward Aragon. So they're headed over to where Celebrimbor is creating these rings with Annatar. And again, Adar, remember, does not know that Annatar is also Sauron right now. At the end of the episode, we do see Galadriel, and she's arriving at Adar's Cape in Mordor. She's traveling as their prisoner. And then we see Adar open up the cage, and she kind of jumps out, getting ready to fight. And we find out that Adar actually wants to negotiate with her because they both have a common enemy in Sauron. And then we end the episode. Overall, I enjoyed this episode probably the most of the season. I like that we got to see each of the storylines. Galadriel was really the only one who wasn't in it, but she was a prisoner, and we see what happens at the end. And again, I just think that we're all headed toward Arion because I think that's where episodes 7 and 8 are probably going to end up taking place. All right, guys. Well, let me know down in the comment section, what did you guys think about this episode? I am going to rate this one 4 out of 5 Gandalfs.
You shall not pass! You shall not pass! You shall not pass! You shall not pass!
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like on the way out of here. Don't forget, keep those heads on, and I'll see you guys in the next video.